It's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Lagos. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. It's less than 48 hours to the rescheduled presidential and National Assembly election in Nigeria. It's all eyes on the country as many look forward to the evolution of a brand new political dispensation. Now, this is very important. It's the sixth general election since 1999, and it's the first time Nigeria will be recording 20 years of unbroken democratic rule. Now, the success of the Saturday's exercise is not only pivotal to the entrenchment of democratic values in Nigeria, some say it would also have some sort of ripple effect on the continent with the big brother role Nigeria plays in Africa. Now, you'll recall that in the early hours of Saturday, 16th February, INEC postponed the election given logistical and operational reasons. Right now, INEC is saying it's ready, having achieved 100% reconfiguration of the 180,000 card readers in this exercise. It says that it has now deployed sensitive materials to all the 36 states. As of yesterday, the INEC chairman says about 10 states have begun taking all of these materials to the local government areas. But believe me, many Nigerians are taking these with just a pinch of salt because 48 hours to the suspended exercise, INEC told us the same thing, that it was really prepared. So there's a lot to talk about this morning, from the management of election in Nigeria to what we've seen play out in recent days, electoral violence and all of that, as we count down to the big one. Let me introduce my guests to you this morning. I have Dr. Wumi Bewaji, who is the Executive Director, Chairman, Coalition of Democrats for Electoral Reforms, and was also Minority Leader of the House of Representatives since 1999 to 2007 thereabout. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Fela Ban Kolemo is here, Director, Media and Communications of the Buhari Osinbajo Support Group. Good morning and welcome.
Great to be here.
All right, so in 2011, we had already started elections before it was postponed. In 2015, a week before that exercise, the Council of State met. The military guys gave reasons why they need to further the peacekeeping efforts in northern Nigeria, and that election was postponed for 6 weeks. Now, fast forward to 2019, 6 hours before D-Day, INEC says it has to postpone. The big question on the lips of many is that even though we seem to have experienced some improvement in Nigeria's electoral process, why are we still here 20 years after?
Just where we are now because of the fact that we, as a country, we need to be proactive when it comes to electoral reforms. Now, the almost 90 million people that are registered voters in this election, that's about the same number of people we have as the entire country, the population of Nigeria. The population is growing exponentially, and until we factor that into what we do, in another 4 years, I see a situation whereby it might become so difficult for INEC to be able to conduct elections. If we continue with this manual manner of conducting our elections without embracing technology, we are going to have problems very soon.
So the INEC chairman kept saying at his press briefing on Saturday that after this exercise, there needs to be a national talk, a national deliberation on the management of elections in this country. Does that also, is it literally saying that indeed the Electoral Act that wasn't passed was a big blow to the conduct of elections?
I don't think so. I think we should focus on the realities. The truth of the matter is that in a country of our size and with our evolution in politics, INEC plays a key role. And Nigerians, everybody has a strong stake in who becomes the president of this country, who governs this nation as governor. So we're going to have very, very strong views on this issue. There's no doubt that people feel strongly that INEC is too big and that INEC itself should be broken down, so we should have different aspects of our electoral process governed by different agencies. So that's the discourse. But I think we need to stay focused. We need to stay focused on the elections coming this Saturday. And we're telling ourselves that Nigerians need to understand that the future of this country is at stake. One of the challenges we've had in this country is whenever we've had to take tough decisions, we turn back. We get to a course and we turn back. And I think it's critical for Nigerians to know that where we are now is critical that we continue along this path to ensure that we put our country on a path of continued growth and continued success. So that's what's important to me when we look at the process coming up this Saturday. That Nigerians across the country, in the Southwest in particular, that people must come out and come and cast their votes to ensure that we keep this government in power. I mean, for me, that's my focus.
Credibility is key for this election. We're hopeful that it holds because many people are already jittery given the latest development. But one thing that is of great concern is what INEC said on Saturday about the fact that even political parties did not meet the deadline. It's joint in about 640 cases. Now, Mr. President said that the postponement of the election is going to be investigated. Do you consider that to be the national conversation that the INEC chairman talked about?
I do not think so. I think what the INEC chairman is talking about is of course, we have now seen that, for example, the use of a 24-hour deployment system that INEC has been using over the years, that is no longer going to work. Now, if we are going to have 48 hours, 72 hours deployment, do we have the security for that? At this point, 340,000 capacity police force cannot guarantee that. And you cannot deploy election materials to states prematurely, because we've seen a situation whereby even the so-called non-sensitive materials are being set on fire in about 3 or so states. So that is the kind of conversation the INEC chairman is talking about. It requires the contribution of everybody. We have to be able to trust ourselves. If you are going to deploy election materials to 36 states, who are those people that will be in charge of those materials? Are we sure that those individuals would not engage in some criminality, or maybe like selling those materials? So as INEC chairman cannot be in 776 local governments that we have, or be at 180,000 polling units that we have. So it requires the contribution of everybody. It's so easy for everyone to want to blame INEC, but INEC is trying its best.
They say we're all stakeholders in this business, and the role that political parties have also played. Your party, for instance, with the PDP, have been exchanging words as regards the role of INEC in recent days. APC is of the opinion that the INEC colluded with the PDP to postpone this election. There are many who would say that how healthy are these conversations, given the fact that all eyes are on Nigeria, and this poll has to be credible, but there hasn't been so much of trust even on the part of political parties.
The stakes are high. We've had an administration that has run Nigeria for 16 years, and we recall this same party felt they'll run Nigeria forever, and they're out of power. So you're going to expect a lot of pushback from this kind of establishment. But the key matter for us as a party, like you always said, is the question of what is best for Nigeria. Simple. What is best for Nigeria? We're all old enough to have gone through 16 years of PDP rule, and 3.5 years, 4 years of APC government, led government by President Buhari and Vice President Yomi Osinbajo. And the question is, what is better for Nigeria? In 16 years, what did we see? In 3.5 years, what have we seen? You know, those are the kind of questions I think we need to be asking Nigerians and putting on the forefront as Nigerians go to vote on Saturday. And that, for me, is the key issue. We keep asking those questions because this election has to be about the real facts. The life of the average Nigerian. How has the average Nigerian been in 16 years of PDP rule where we had unlimited resources? And how has the life of Nigerians been in close to 3.5 years, 4 years of the APC government with little resources? Who has done more with less? Do we have more infrastructure than we ever had in 16 years of our government? You know, and if we don't answer those questions, and that's what these TV stations must do, that's what these interviews must do, where, like you said, 48 hours to the most pivotal election in the history of Nigeria. And we must let Nigerians know that it's critical that wherever you are in this country, you must come out and vote on Saturday. Don't be discouraged. I mean, our party was totally disappointed that the election was cancelled, was postponed, because we're confident of victory. You know, we're confident that we will win that election. But come this Saturday, we are confident that the APC government will win at the presidential level. So for me, that's our focus, and that's what we're pushing.
We'll get back to the credibility of this exercise. Let's turn our attention for a bit to the position of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu yesterday, where he said that they've achieved 100% reconfiguration. Now, the way it works is that the PVCs are wired such that they open for business at 8 o'clock and shut down by 10 p.m. Are you confident? Because 48 hours to the suspended election, INEC, speaking with stakeholders, also gave us the impression that it was ready. It even said it wasn't going to postpone elections irrespective of the fire incidences across its INEC offices in 3 states of the Federation. Are you confident that the cards are really going to work this Saturday if the
Yes,
election
I'm
holds?
so confident. I'm very confident about that. We have our field observers.
Okay.
We've deployed 380 field observers, and we also have hundreds of volunteers working for CODA. The reports we are getting from the field, from our teams monitoring INEC, is that everything is going on according to plan. So I'm very confident that the elections will go on. The card readers are ready as we speak. So I have no doubt in my mind that the elections will go on by 7 a.m. In fact, the model being used by INEC was to be ready by 7 a.m. Friday morning. To be ready to conduct the election 7 a.m. Friday morning, so that by 8 a.m. Saturday morning, the elections can go on. So I'm confident.
According to INEC, the sensitive materials already are in the states. Deployments have begun in 10 states yesterday to be concluded today. And INEC wants election to start 8 a.m. across board. How feasible is that?
I mean, we've tried to do this. I mean, this is not the first election we're having in Nigeria. Like I said, we've had repeated elections with challenges along the way. But I think we're objective enough. I mean, the last election really was one of, if we take aside June 12 election, I think the last election was generally accepted, to be free and fair. So we expect this to be build up on that. We have to take the INEC chairman at his words. I think he knows that. An our postponement is totally unacceptable to Nigerians. I like the fact that he's been given regular information. Questions are being asked. And people are interrogating INEC better than they did, last week. So I want to believe strongly that they're ready. I mean, the federal government has done what they need to do. Friday is a public holiday to help Nigerians, prepare for the elections on Saturday. Yes, it was a major inconvenience of Nigerians a week ago, but we have to sacrifice for our country. I mean, everybody needs to know that this election is for the future of this country, and we have to be able to sacrifice for our nation. The great nations that we all admire today, people paid major sacrifice for this nation. So I want to believe strongly that we can hold the INEC chairman to his word. They're Nigerians. They know what this means to this country. And we all look forward to casting our ballots on Saturday and having an election that's very credible.
INEC doesn't want staggered elections. The chairman believes that that is not a national election. But there are some who would say that staggered elections are synonymous to Africa, not only in Nigeria. If you escape the exercise at the polling units, you might not escape it at the courts. And that seemed to also just change the whole equation. How relevant is staggered or are staggered elections to the credibility of our democratic process?
That has no relevance in my view. I think what we need to do is this is part of the conversation that Professor Yakubu is talking about. We need to look at the idea of having a one-day election. Whether we should have an election, such a critical election, holding only on a single day. Maybe we could explore a situation whereby elections can be open for like a period of 2 weeks or a period of 1 week, so such that people can be able to cast their ballot even without having to declare public holidays. And also, we also might have to explore the use of technology, particularly this day and age that virtually all Nigerians now have PVC, BVN. So there might be a way to link our PVC with our BVN in such a way that people should be able to vote without having to designate a single day for voting, which is probably what is behind the huge problems that we have, especially with the growth of population in Nigeria.
Unfortunately, politics appear to always becloud our judgment when it comes to improving our electoral process. You saw what characterized the review of the Electoral Act, especially the reordering of the timetable.
Yeah.
There were a lot
Yeah.
of political, reasoning to it. Do you think we'll be able to put our political differences, apart when it comes to having this conversation?
I think ultimately we have to evolve our electoral process. We are involved in our electoral process. I mean, and that's one of the things we don't give ourselves credit for. The electoral process we have now is not the one we started with in 1999. So we've evolved it. And the very first elections in this country, as you and I know, were ballot snatching, changing of results, those kind of things were the order of the day. You recall that the late President Yar'Adua, when he came into power, himself said that the election that brought him to power was very, very cloudy and very doubtful. So I think we've evolved, and we have to continue to evolve. Right, the size of our population, the level of entrenchment of democracy in this country, those are discussions we'll have. But those discussions are easier to have, when the political season is not at the level it is now. It's always difficult to have clear minds at this kind of time because everybody is looking at, what pays me, what doesn't pay me, this is going to work for me, this is going to work against me, what's the reason behind this? There's always a conspiracy.
That's right.
There's always a conspiracy theory behind this kind of thing. So yes, I believe strongly that will continue to evolve. I know I like the way our political process is evolving. It will continue. I mean, we owe ourselves that, to continue to deepen our democracy, But like I keep saying, for everybody now, the key thing is the election on Saturday. The INEC chairman's giving us confidence that we will have our elections. We're all looking forward to it. And I think that's what Nigerians are just hoping to do. Let us cast our votes and let's see how things go.
One key talking point is the huge number of political parties participating in this election, the highest since 1999. We have about 91 parties now, over 70 presidential candidates. Just yesterday, Professor Yakub says that we should expect to have the results roughly the same time we got it in 2015. The 2015 presidential election held on Saturday, we didn't get results until Wednesday. Now, INEC says it's not going to sacrifice accuracy for speed. But what kind of magic is INEC going to perform to have these election results in a couple of days?
It's not going to be magic. The elections are counted, the ballots are counted. Don't forget, they are counted right at the polling
units.
Then the results are announced right there. So what INEC does basically is
collation.
Collate. Yes. So if you ask me, the results should even be ready latest by afternoon Sunday. But of course, subject to some delays, especially from some very difficult terrains.
How practical is that? Because the way the collation exercise works is that the resident electoral commissioners from each state come up with their figures. And what it means is that each political party's name and results will have to be called out loud. It's going to be like a very long process because there are going to be about 70 parties on that particular results sheet.
Yes, but that does not change the fact how much time is needed to really put all these figures together. So I believe that Sunday, latest by Monday, the results should be ready. Like I said, results are announced at the polling unit. Yeah. No, after that, nothing else happens other than collation. So to collate these numbers from the wards to the local government, from the local government to the state level, then bringing everything together from all the 36 states, I don't think it requires more than 72 hours.
The opposition party already has a parallel tabulation system. What would you think the implication of having these results take long, have on the credibility of this poll? No, in the age of social media, where everybody has an idea of what the result is going to be?
I think, I agree totally that I think our results should be faster than Wednesday, really. I think so. But the reality is that even 4 years ago, before Wednesday, everybody had a sense of who had won the election. Everybody was just waiting for INEC to make the official announcement, but everybody had roughly the same figures, plus or minus 10%.
Unfortunately, until INEC announces the
You can't
results.
you can't say who the winner is. But I mean, what I'm saying that across the country, everybody had a semblance. The numbers were out there. You had, I mean, for example, we're going to have almost every political party that is what is sold will have the results across the country. I mean, I can speak for our party. We'll have the results already. So we know by Monday, generally, we know who would have won the election. But like you said, we still have to wait for INEC to make the official announcement. Which is critical. But those are processes that I agree totally would evolve and get better. Because really in 48 hours we should be able to announce the results of all our elections, across the country. Because it's announced, we're collating, but let's see how it goes. But like I said earlier, the critical thing is credibility is very important, and ensuring that everybody sees that the process is free and fair. And I'm confident that we will have that come Saturday.
Just yesterday, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Oyema, again reiterated Nigeria's position to foreign observers to ensure that they draw the line between observing an election and interfering.
Yeah.
Really, are there confusing indices here? Do we know precisely what the role of foreign observers are, and what point do they begin to interfere in the sovereignty of Nigeria?
Well, the role of a foreign observer is not in any way different from our own role too, as domestic observers, as we are called now. The role is to observe the elections, and every election observation has its ethics. And the basic ethics of election observation is non-interference and non-meddling in the process. So you do not interfere, you do not meddle. That means that for example, our field observers are restricted from even making statements. You cannot if you make a statement on behalf of CODA, you are removed. We remove you right immediately. So
they don't grant interviews?
Yeah, you cannot grant interviews. You do not. Your job is to observe and take notes. And let me tell you the basic need or the basic purpose of election observation. The basic purpose is for us to collate the data. Then at the end of the day, we bring the data back to the situation room. Then we synthesize that, we analyze it. Then the need for that is to be able to advise the electoral body about the shortcomings, what they have done wrong, what they have done
for
right.
Subsequent exercises.
For subsequent, yes.
It doesn't tamper with the credibility of this exercise.
Of the election, yes. It doesn't. So the idea is to see how we can be able to advise the electoral body about how to improve on the process. So you don't go out making statements about the election. It is wrong.
Fela, perhaps you help us understand the fear of the APC, because we seem to have heard it not once, not twice, about observers interfering.
I mean, even following the discussion on our elections, we're confident that this election we expect the INEC to do their job with a free and fair election. We are confident as a party that we are going to win this election, but we feel strongly sometimes that people are trying to start playing games with this issue, trying to use their influence. A number of Nigerians are trying to use their influence, internationally to try and discredit this election, and that's what we're just trying to say. We're saying that the international observers are welcomed. They are in the country, but like my brother said here, your job is to observe. And the INEC chairman, as you can see, has been engaging publicly, openly, taking questions from everybody, both local and international journalists, engaging the issues. And we're giving everybody, the federal government of Nigeria has given everybody free access. If you're accredited, you can go and stay. And also, you can even wait, and after you've casted your ballot, and wait for the results to be announced. So, I mean, there should be no issue there, but we know strongly that we have a number of people that have called press conferences trying to cast aspersions on an election that has not been done at all. And sometimes when you look at the track record of these individuals, when they run their own elections, you're just smiling to yourself and saying, we don't have short memories in Nigeria. We know what things people have done. But like I've said always, I feel strongly that what you're seeing play out is a reality of the fact that some people believe Nigeria is their personal property, and that has changed. Simple. And because of that, you're having a heavy pushback. Come this Saturday, there'll be elections. Millions of Nigerians from across the country will vote. Thankfully, elections are on social media only. You know, it's across the whole length and breadth of this country. So we will see which candidates are more popular. We will see which candidates Nigeria want to vote for.
You're
And then
saying
we'll
that
take from
social
there.
media is not the right determinant to
No, I'm
tell
saying that social media is
which
not the only
candidate is
place where
more
you
popular.
cast elections. You know, you have the Federal Republic of Nigeria on social media, and you have the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is the reality,
Across
you
the-
know, across the country.
The 36 states of the
Yeah.
federation. So Friday has been declared public holiday. The federal government wants people to be able to travel back for those who have to go a long distance to vote. Prior to Friday, we also had IPAN talking about reducing the price of petrol to 140. I don't know if you've been able to buy it at that particular price.
They have not been able to.
You've been buying it at 145.
145, yes.
But how relevant is this public holiday to the conduct of the election?
Well, we commend the government for doing that good gesture, and it will, especially because people have to travel, and I think the Friday before that, the previous election, I came from Abuja, and you see the sea of people at the airport. So I think this is a good development. If we want to encourage people to travel, having this one-day holiday is okay, so that people can really be able to participate.
There's another side to it. The aviation sector recorded billions of naira of loss in the previous weekend. Shutting down the economy on Friday would also have its own economic implication. How far away are we as a country? Because the last time we had to shut the borders, I'm sure that's going to happen again.
Yeah.
How far are we from not shutting down the economy because we want to vote?
I mean, that's the reality about trying to retweak, rejig the way we do elections. I mean, the reality of the fact that economic activity will suffer, vis-a-vis us having elections. But we ask ourselves, look at the big picture. The big picture that is the largest this is the largest economy in Africa, one of the biggest democracies anywhere in the world. We're the largest black nation on earth. We need to get it right. If we have to suffer this level of inconveniences now as we continue to strengthen our processes, then I think we should. So ultimately, I also feel that the fact that Friday is a public holiday will make life a bit easier. I mean, take nothing away from the fact that a lot of Nigerians, we lost a lot of money and a lot of inconvenience having to travel out and travel back in and also travel again. So I think this is a very positive gesture by the government. What we want come Saturday is for everybody to go out and cast their votes. Election is your voice. You can't afford not to do something. If you keep quiet, if you stay home and you don't vote, other people will make decisions for you. So for us, in the APC, for the Buhari or Shibaju government, we want everybody, Nigerians across the whole country, to come back, go out there, vote, protect your vote, stay there, wait till ensure your vote is counted, and then let's wait for the results of the election.
All right, we're counting down to the big one on Saturday. What feelings are you getting from the field as regards the level of voter education? Just recently, INEC said there's nothing wrong with you thumbprinting, because in Lagos they call it the index finger. But INEC said, well, as long as the print doesn't crosses the line, then your vote is still very valid. But how much of voter education has gone into this exercise?
There has been a lot of voter sensitization that has been done. And I also want to commend INEC for listening to us. Because when the list when the ballot paper was printed, we saw the list is 91 political parties. So you discover that there is no way you are going to put your thumb on the ballot paper without the ink spilling into maybe
The other box.
the lower or
INEC
the
at
upper.
the point said they were going to come up with inks that dry very easily.
Yeah, the ink can dry easily, but we had an event, an incident in Osun State during the last election, whereby it was discovered that a large number of ballot papers were voided because of this same problem of the growing number of.
And now we understand that ballot papers are even going to come folded. in INEC's way of ensuring that they fight vote buying this time. Are we sure that this is really going to work?
It's going to work. So using your index finger is going to ensure that the ink is only going to be right on the point
Where you want
to vote. Yes.
It's all right. Let's take a break now. From Benue to Plateau, from Kwara to Osun State, we have some recorded forms of violence. When we return, we'll talk about the implication of this on the Saturday election. Stay with us. We are counting down to the rescheduled presidential National Assembly election this Saturday. All eyes on Nigeria, especially the electoral umpire who gave reasons for postponing this exercise. It said it's ready now, and Nigerians are looking forward to how ready INEC is. Dr. Wumi Bewaji is Executive Director and Chairman of Coalition of Democrats for Electoral Reforms. Thanks for staying the course of the program. I also have Bank Olemo, who's Director Media and Communications of the Buhari Osinbajo Support Group. Now, we've seemed to have recorded some form of violence in recent days. Herdsmen attack in Benue, kidnapping in Plateau State. There was some form of protest, a woman protest in Kogi as regards mopping arms from the youths in that area. Just yesterday, 2 people were killed in Osun State. And there was also another form of political clash between the main parties in Kwara. What implication do you see all of this have on not only the conduct but the credibility of the Saturday poll?
Well, on the conduct, I don't think, we are talking about the issue of security here. And recently when the president said something about deploying the military for the purpose of security, there were a lot of people that had some reservations about that. So security, I will always say, is critical to the conduct of any election. So it is essential that security agencies are fully mobilized to ensure that any person, any voter leaving his house in the morning of the election will be sure that he will be able to return in the evening back to his house. That is really critical. So in CODA, we support the use of our security agencies to ensure that voters have the safety that is needed for them to cast their ballot. That also is part of the credibility thing we are talking about. Without security, voters will not be safe to come out and cast their ballot.
One would have thought that we would have evolved from the politics of violence, but that's not the case. And we don't even seem to have the luxury of having, army personnel, security forces deployed as we had in staggered elections. How much of security do you think the security forces can offer to Nigerians this time?
No, I expect to see the full deployment of our security, like across the country. Like Nigeria is, if you look at Nigeria now, and 4 years ago we had more issues with security 4 years ago than we do now, and we ran a generally safe election. Forgetting the fact that the election was postponed for 6 weeks due to security reasons.
Let me hold you for a minute.
Yeah.
I understand the Reverend Dominic is on the line. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Onifemi. How are you?
Terrific. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Femi, there is good morning to your guest in the house.
Good morning.
Yeah. There is discussions all of us in Nigeria are not what we're not discussing. What I mean is this. As long as both politicians, Nigerians, everybody are not working towards free and fair and credible election. If you bring a Jamaican and a Raphael as INEC chairman and staff, what we are having now, we're going to have. I assure you tomorrow, Saturday, if INEC did not go headlong, whether it's good or bad, by the report of skirmishes we'll be having, we can postpone the election. INEC material and buses were born in Cross River. How are they going to replace it from 2 days ago till now? Over 11 buses of material. I don't know how they're going to replace it. So what I'm trying to say, when Mr. President said that people who is carrying ballot box will be shot, I thought everybody would say amen. If we are all in one page, but one party was saying it's wrong, which means if you say it's wrong, you are the one carrying ballot boxes. If you don't even say anything in carrying ballot boxes, how do you think a nation like Nigeria, we are pastors, some of you are professionals, we are doctors, we are all kinds of people, good people in Nigeria. What does it paint a picture that you are having an election and you see somebody carrying ballot box as if you're in jungle in Benin Republic? Such a thing is supposed to be condemned outwardly. But some parties have said, no, we can't do it. To me, I support if you carry ballot box, they should shoot you point blank to show how the state we are to this insult.
It's all right.
So
Brother Dominic, I think you made your point there. Unfortunately, the provision of the Electoral Act stipulates 2 years imprisonment or a maximum fine of 500,000 naira to ballot box snatching. I think that the president's comment wasn't in tandem with the law.
I think we have to be careful not to take the president's comments out of context. He was having a meeting, APC meeting, and I think the statement he made is something that just comes from you wanting things to go well for the country. Like the gentleman said, I get worried when people take the statement and pull it out of context.
But what he said precisely was that he has ordered security forces to be ruthless with electoral offenders. How spot on is that?
I support that fully. I think anybody that wants to truncate our democracy hates this country. I think anybody that is willing to steal ballot boxes and ensure that the millions of Nigerians across this country that are trying to cast their votes, and you want to sabotage that kind of a process, then that kind of person should be dealt with as fiercely. That's my opinion.
We have another caller now. Let's take that very quickly. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Nifemi, and greetings to your guest.
Good morning.
Nifemi, I'm one person that did not agree with the excuse INEC gave. Because you cannot marry the excuses they gave with realities on the ground. How come that INEC decided to bring the OBJ-sponsored foreign observers first, before even the political parties that are the stakeholders in Nigeria? How come that the opposition party was able to get the information that the election was going to be postponed even before the president of this country? How come that there are many allegations against INEC staff that INEC chairman himself refused to speak about? In a case where you have effective decision making, the reasons INEC gave for that postponement, what would have happened is to isolate those 3 states or so from the elections where he had serious challenges. If it was in those 3 states he postponed the election for 1 week, it would be more effective. It would be a sound decision. People will be able to understand why. You have 36 states, and there are challenges that you cannot tackle in 3 states, and you cancel elections in the whole 36 states. It doesn't harmonize with sound reasoning. So, for me, there is more to it than meets the eye. But what I know is that if INEC likes, let them postpone the election 10 times. Nobody can take the momentum away from Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, George, for your contribution. Unfortunately, the logistical challenge INEC had wasn't limited to those 3 states where it had file currencies in its offices. But let me ask you, Dr. Bewaji, would ruthlessness on the part of security forces deter electoral offenders in this election?
Let me correct the wrong impression that people have about electoral offenses. Now, we have the Electoral Act 2010, which governs the election. But that does not put all the other laws in our law books, that does not put them on hold. So, in the course of the election, for example, ballots snatching. Yes, it constitutes an offense under the Electoral Act 2010. So also can an individual that snatches a ballot box be prosecuted under other laws. If I were to prosecute for that, for the offense of ballot snatching, I am not going to prosecute you under the Electoral Act. I am going to prosecute you under the armed robbery, the Robbery and Firearms Act, because under the Robbery and Firearms Act, stealing or robbery as defined is only restricted to, is the only exception to the offense of robbery is immovable properties. By Section 22 of the Electoral Act, the proprietary right of INEC in all electoral materials have been established. INEC owns all the electoral material, including the ballot paper. So if you snatch a ballot box or a ballot paper, you are liable to be charged under the Electoral Act and also under all the other laws of the Federation.
I hope that that's the same way we're charging everyone who is stealing in this part of the country, because we've heard about plea bargain and people who steal so much money just have to return a part and they're walking free on the streets. But let's take this call from Nasarawa State. Good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Welcome to the show. Please go ahead with your contribution.
My contribution to this show is that, please, we have to understand that Nigeria is always afraid of what is happening today. Given that, saying that whoever that stole the box, the box, they will be killed. My dear, it will make other people to be afraid, because today, many people are saying that they are not even going to be fleeing it to vote because of what? They are afraid of whatever they are saying. Now, I'm not in any party, as I know my choice, but the fact remains, they will not put fear in Nigeria, because many Nigerians are afraid of going anywhere because nobody wants to be killed. I know if someone wants to steal the box, it may be not only him that will be killed before that fleeing it. And for that reason, many people are complaining that they are not even go out to vote. If you watch, most especially this government, we are afraid of many things from this government because everything is just like about violence.
Steve, you're not planning to snatch ballot box, are you?
You say?
You're not planning to snatch ballot box on Saturday, are you?
No.
All right, so you have nothing to fear. I think you made your point known already. Thank you very much for calling in. Well, some would say that the challenge we have with electoral violence is our inability to properly prosecute electoral offenders. Yeah. So, as I said earlier, there are provisions in the law. The Electoral Act, for instance, has stipulated fines and even, time in jail. Yeah. But just recently, I think it was last year, that 2 INEC officials were jailed. Yeah. It hasn't happened in a long time. Yeah. Are we changing the narrative?
Yeah, we're working to change the narrative, but it's a long journey. It doesn't just stop in prosecuting offenders. INEC. You look at the bigger question of corruption in Nigeria. People say that we've had governors that have been indicted since they left power in 2007, and their cases are still going on in court, till today. And it cuts across lots of things. One of the key things people say about this administration is, hey, you say you're fighting corruption, but who have you convicted? And I keep telling people, hey, please, it's not my job as the executive to convict people. It's the job of the courts to convict people. So if I take a case to the courts and they throw it out on technicalities, or a case that should not take more than a year takes 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, is being dragged on.
But
so
you also have the responsibility to prove it beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah, definitely. But you also know that the judiciary plays a key part in fighting corruption in any society. The onus is also on the judiciary to ensure that these cases, that justice is not delayed and it doesn't drag on forever. You just have the realities of our country, and that also affects INEC and the fact that people feel that they can get away with anything. Where there's no deterrence and people feel that if I'm caught, I'll be punished, people will do anything they like.
Have we been able to douse the tension and clear the air? For instance, Steve is saying that he's even scared that in the process of shooting the snatcher of the box, maybe someone else could be hit in the process. Would you say we've done enough job to clear the air as regards Mr. President's position?
Well, I have reiterated the fact that what Mr. President said is actually what the position of the law is. Although Mr. President might have said it in not so beautiful language. But the fact is, if you snatch a ballot box, then you are committing an offense. So then the law enforcement agencies, the security agencies, will therefore want to arrest the individual.
Let me hold you for a minute to take Yakub's call from Dokpemo. Good morning, Yakub.
Yeah, thank you, Nitavi. And good morning to the guests in the studio.
Good morning.
You see, good morning, sir. You see, Nifemi, I think I go with Reverend Dominic. People are saying that Mr. President says the security agency should be ruthless with anybody that snatches the ballot paper. Nifemi, a ballot box has case may be. Nifemi, let me ask you this. People that plan to go to polling unit to go and snatch the ballot box, are they go there with just ordinary pen, capital No? They will go there with gun because they believe that if they go there with ordinary pen or stick, people around the polling unit will never allow them to take that ballot box away. That is number one. Number two, if you are not going to snatch the ballot box, why are you saying what Mr. President says is not good? Because as for me, I'm going there to vote. I'm not going there to snatch the ballot box. Why are you afraid? If you can imagine the opposition party says that Mr. President said they should be killed. Mr. President was never said that they should be killing anybody. He says that security agents should be ruthless with anybody that is going there to snatch the ballot box. He's only looking for the free and fair, credible election. Both opposition, it was never even mentioned PDP, was never mentioned APT. It mentioned anybody, whoever, be you APT, be you PDP, be you whatever party you are. If you go there to distract the election, the security agencies should be ruthless with you. That is the message Mr. President is trying to pass to the nation.
I think you made your point quite clearly, Yakub. Thank you very much for calling in on the program. but to even understand that, killing at the polling unit is practically impossible given the position of the military. No military official is allowed to carry guns to the polling unit. So is your party doing enough to help the people understand what Mr. President has said?
I think this issue has been engaged, has been flogged. The opposition party has tried to stretch it beyond reason. But I think, look at the calls you've gotten. I think the average Nigerian understands the fact that what Mr. President was saying was to guarantee the sanctity of the election we want to hold on Saturday. One of the key things we need to stay focused on is the fact that there's an election on Saturday, and it's for the destiny of this country. It's for the future of Nigeria. It's for a government that is for everybody, or a government for my friends and myself. And that's the issue here. A government for the people, for the average man on the streets, or a government for the elites and the forgotten elites or the extremely rich. That's the simple thing here. And the APC government led by General Buhari and Professor Yemi Osinbajo is focused on the people, ensuring that the average Nigerian has a chance. And I think that's what this election is all about. I discuss things with people every day. People come to me. I read things all around. And after the election, I'm sure you saw the supposed result that was pushed around by another party. And I tell people that it can't happen. Let me tell you something. I've been privileged. I've been over 53 towns in the Southwest. I've visited 53 towns in the Southwest. And in my visits to towns in Oyo, Kishi, Igbeti, Idorin, Ondo, Owo, Ede, Modakeke, in Lagos, everywhere we've been to in the Southwest, I can tell you for free, there is no way the APC will not win landslide in the Southwest.
We have a caller from Agbado in Ogun State, right? Dekule, good morning.
Oh, Mr. Nifemi, good morning. How are you?
Terrific. How are you today?
I'm good, and you?
Great. Please go ahead.
You are my son, namesake. Oh, Nifemi. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Ed, my whole contribution is that, the issue of this country is worrisome. In aspect of Mr. President said this, Mr. President said that. So people that they are guilty, maybe they're thinking they want to snap that the ballot box. That is why they have said they are condemning the president's speech.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I've traveled to the United States during the election. I see what happened there. Is that there anybody where to go to polling center and go and snap any box over there? Please no. So majority of people condemning this issue, anytime that Mr. President say, hey, they will turn it to another thing. Why are we doing like this in this country, for goodness? But my whole advice is this: let everybody goes out. If you mean well for this country, go and cast your vote and go to your house. Simple as ABC. We don't need to drag ourselves into what we are calling political partisan and political rubbish in this country, for goodness sake. So that is my own contribution, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in, Dekunle from Ogun State. Let's talk about the participation of electorate in election. They say that we've not recorded way over 50% of the registered voters in previous polls. According to INEC, it's recorded over 70% of PVC collection. We're waiting to get an updated figure from the INEC chairman. Do you expect things to change on Saturday? Because if close to 50 million people do not vote, how credible, how assertive, is the poll after all?
Well, as Thomas Jefferson said, the elections are not decided by the majority, but by the majority of those that decided to take part in
to
the
exercise
elections.
the franchise.
Yes. So it's in Nigeria, we don't have our legal system does not make voting compulsory. So therefore, people have the liberty to vote. They have the right to vote, but not the duty to vote. So I think it is okay if individuals decided to stay away from the voting, probably, for whatsoever reason. People cannot be forced to take part in the process. We can only continue to sensitize on the need for people to take part. Some people are professional complainants. They would rather complain rather than do anything about it.
Let's take this conversation to the UK. Good morning, Martin.
Good morning.
How's London today?
Yes, I just want to quickly contribute to the discussion.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Martin, go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, thank you. Now, my problem is particularly with the press, because if the president has said something that will benefit the public and the press is trying to turn it upside down, I think it's very wrong, because we are sending a comparing message to the public. Just this morning on your TV during the news, the people interviewed about the president's statement, those selected that were being sent to the public were those people criticizing the president. And I'm pretty sure some people will have supported the president's statement.
Martins, don't you think the press simply just report what the president says and what the people are saying? This morning we're reporting a complete balanced view as far as the reactions are concerned.
Yes. What I want to bring out quickly is that even on the streets of London, when there were crises and the youth are killing themselves, people were more secure. People feel more secure when they see police on the street. They don't feel scared. If I'm going to vote, with what has been happening on the streets of Nigeria, just yesterday, you were showing 2 days ago, you were showing what was happening in Kano with Kwankwaso, people beating people on the street. Look at what happened in Abeokuta. People buying 2x2 sticks to beat people on the street. I cannot go out to vote in that situation.
I think you made your point, Martins. That's how much time can permit. Thank you very much for calling in. We have to wrap up now. Yeah. How do you summarize all of these, especially as we count down to Saturday?
I'm asking Nigerians to go out and vote. I think it's critical that we all come out and vote, especially in the Southwest, where our voting percentage is probably one of the lowest in the country. We want Nigerians to go out and vote APC. Like I told you before, I've seen different polls, people banding results around, and I'm telling you, I'm on ground. I know these things. I've traveled around this country, the Southwest in particular, and I can tell you for free that the APC is very confident that once people come out on Saturday, right, we'll have this government in power.
Dr. Bawaji, you have 30 seconds. I want to have your closing remarks.
It's a great honor for one to be able to take part in the electoral process. So I encourage all Nigerians to go out and vote. Go out and vote because your vote can make a difference.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming on the show. Dr. Wumebewaji is Executive Director, Chairman, Coalition of Democrats for Electoral Reforms. Fela Bankolemo is Special Advisor to Lagos State Governor on Education and Director Media Communications of the Buhari Osunbajo Support Group.
Thank you.
Yes, Saturday's the big deal. You had them. You need to exercise your franchise. Your choice has to count. And all you need to do is go out and vote. Thanks for being a part of it. We'll be back tomorrow with another exciting one. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. God bless Nigeria.